got Logan. His pronouns are he, him. Evolution and what the future possibly holds. Hey, Logan, how's it going? You're on with John and CE.
Hey, how's it going? I'm so glad to actually be on Truth Wanted. I can't believe I'm finally on.
Yeah, you're here.
It's awesome. It's awesome talking to you, John the Skeptic. It's awesome talking to Cross Examiner. You guys are both awesome people. I had a quick question before I get into the nitty gritty of it. When like signing up for Patreon and everything like that, it says put in the street address. My parents don't know I'm an atheist yet. And I didn't want them to see that stuff yet. So is there a possible way I can sign up for Patreon without like putting in my street address, if that makes sense?
Hopefully, I'm not sure how all that works because I just get people to sign up to Patreon. So what we'll do is I won't drop the call, and hopefully someone can explain to you once we've finished, like have a little chat with you about how you can possibly do all that, which would be cool.
I can ask later. Okay.
Yeah, or come to the after show and you know chat in there, and someone will have some info for you.
Cool. Yeah. For the question, I was talking to a friend, and this was like the weirdest thing ever. I was talking to him just about evolution and stuff like that, and he wasn't really he didn't really believe it, but and then I was talking to another friend, and he was telling me that that based on the way we're evolving, we're going to look like, basically, we're going to have these giant big heads and look like these tall aliens in the future. And I was trying to tell him, like, it has to do with natural selection and how your environment and your just all the things that have to do with the select pressure changes and everything. And he couldn't get it out of his mind. That's what we're going to look like. And there's no like if, ands, or buts. I just wanted to kind of get you guys' opinions and stuff like that. And I know we can't know what the future of evolution holds. And
the evolution for me is one of those things that it absolutely fascinates me, but I know so little about it. But I feel like I can get the basics. But are we going to look like that in the future? Who knows? We know like the human species is getting taller because people are taller and we pass on the tall genes, although there are also a lot shorter people. So actually there's probably going to be populations of people going shorter because they're just passing on the short genes. Do I think that we're going to be tall, gangly, did you say gray, like the I guess the aliens that people draw and have images of? That's what we're going to look like one day. Yeah, I don't know. There is no way of knowing. Natural selection, though, is only like one tiny little part of the whole spectrum of evolution. There's so much more to it. There's there's like you say, environmental impact that can change certain things. I know that I've seen, maybe this is a lie, but I'm sure I've seen a population of humans whose feet are turning more hand-like to help them climb trees. And there are pictures of people who have almost like their toes are slightly dropping back on their feet to help them grip trees. And because that benefits them as a population, the people who have like the slightly dropped back toes are the ones who are breeding and passing on the genes. And eventually, we'll have maybe a population of people with hand feet, there's so much to it. I don't know if we'll ever turn into these tall, gray, bug-eyed people. I do think that like the finger thing, I've seen a lot of this, the finger thing where people are like typing on their phones a lot and like this muscle is getting worked, and maybe that one day we'll just have giant long fingers like ET, maybe not with a light up tip. But it could go that way. There's the possibilities right now are probably endless. We might be able to fly one day, who knows? What do you think, CE? Yeah. I just went on a ramble.
So yeah, I think your observation that Logan made that nobody can know is pretty dead on. I would add on, anytime you're going to talk about this, you have to say, well, what's the pressure to change, right? What's the pressure for our heads to change in that manner? If they get any bigger, we're not going to be able to give birth. That's one of the big problems that we're facing right now. As far as taller, shorter, bigger brains and all that, part of that is evolution, but a big part of that is nutrition. Like over time, we've gotten better nutrition, which is why when you go to Philadelphia and you look at Independence Hall, all the doorways are shorter. Even back from Washington's time to now, the average height is taller, but that is not necessarily evolution. The geological time scale needed to actually observe human evolution to that degree is probably way longer than 200 years or something like that. So anytime your friend's asking that or asserting that, you know, I would personally say, like, what are they trying to prove? Like, where's this conversation going? How does it matter? But assuming you care, I would then say, okay, what's the pressure? Why do you think it will change? And that's a good test to see if they even understand the concept. You know, if I take a black fox population and move it to the Arctic where there are predators, I would expect over time, a very long time, for those black fox population to become lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter because of the predation as a pressure. But if we're humans and we are the quote unquote top of the food chain, the stuff that causes us not to be able to reproduce, because keep in mind, that's the key of evolution. If you are thickened, if you are, or fecund, if you can make it to the point where you have offspring, then evolution's done with you. So what's the pressure for being tall and gangly and having a weird head that makes you more likely to reproduce under those conditions than not under the current experience of humanity? If you draw humanity out a next couple of 100 years, even to come close to a change in any sort of evolutionary trait, I'm thinking genetic engineering will deal with that we will get to the point where, if you watch movies like Gattaca and things like that, where people imagine what is a future with genetic engineering going to look like, we are going to be in control of that. And I think that in and of itself has the highest probability of going against what your friend is arguing, that we will actually take the reins of our own appearance and our own design, and long before any sort of evolution, because you need tens of thousands of years to start seeing really significant changes in your genetic traits. So what are your thoughts on that? Where do you think your friend's going? Do you think he would be able to answer those questions about what's the pressure to change?
So he has it convinced in his mind that some kind of God or deistic God is guiding the process, and ultimately we're projected to look like those in the future. And apparently natural selection isn't at all in his view. We're just basically, it's more like a theistic evolution. That's kind of what he kind of grabs onto. He's more into the conspiracy theorists, and I still need to ask him, like, why he's holding on to that view. Like, why does he think God, quote unquote God or a deistic being or whatever, is gonna guide us in that direction? Like, evolution doesn't work that way. So it doesn't make any sense. I think he's holding on to like a God belief just for some kind of comfort, just because it gives him some kind of comfort. He knows the Christian God doesn't make any sense. He's still coming out of his beliefs. So I think he's trying to figure out some stuff here and there.
There's a lot to unpack as well when you are moving away from belief. You know, for some reason it's more than just, do I believe in a God? Because then all of a sudden you do have a lot more to explain. You know, where did we come from? How is there so much diversity? And I kind of understand where he's coming from. Like, I was lucky and didn't really ever have a religion, so I didn't have that. Like, well, how do you explain this? And how do you explain this? Well, you know, God must have done it. So I mean, I feel for him. Maybe, you know, be there for him and just help answer the questions however you can. Point him to some great content creators who have answers as well. You know, better trained than me, at least, in answering these kind of questions.
And you can also ask the next level down questions, like, okay, if that's true, do you understand what genetics, like basic, you know, Hegelian genetics, you know, why does this pea act this way, but if I blend these two peas, it acts the other way? And you can get him to understand the actual physical elements of genetics at a basic level. He then now has to insert even more miraculous behavior to assert what he's asserting, which is not only is God just making it happen, but now God's got to make this particular chemical reaction sort of disobey the laws of physics as far as reproduction goes and probability goes when you study genetics. So maybe not addressing the religious aspect directly, but actually saying, let's educate ourselves on the mechanics of geneticism, because that's should be hopefully relatively indisputable when you go look at the science and the studies and the facts and your basic high school biology classes. Maybe you start there without sort of alienating him regarding religion. You can just say, I was confused why you thought that. I realized I didn't understand. So I'm gone off and read this book and it's very interesting. Would you like to know more? Because I think it might help you refine your theory. And that's just a way to sort of say, hey, you know, really what you're saying is, can I educate you a little bit and then see if you still hold the same beliefs, or do you have to moderate them?
I think that is very well said, perfectly well said, cross-examiner. I think a little bit of atheism does scare him a little bit. I think he's scared to realize that he's quote unquote all alone in this world and doesn't have actually a higher power watching out over him, and he still kind of holds on to that, which I totally get it, because I was like that for the longest time, and it took me time to get over it too, and just realize that we have to be here for our brothers and sisters in humanity and all of our human folks and all of our other brothers and sisters through like other species and stuff like that. We're here for one another and for a short time, but I mean, it can be a definitely scary thing. Would you know like the best way to, like, because I've tried like introducing certain content to him, like the best way to kind of like be there for him and let him know that what's the word? Let him know that it's okay, because I think the whole death thing kind of does scare him.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there are books that you can point him to. There's resources. I mean, I don't think Freedom from Religion Foundation is going to be like good in this instance, but there are sources like that where you can just go,
recovering from religion.
Yeah, recovering. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah, sorry. And but I mean, there's multiple things out there that you could just say, here's some stuff to read to help you if you are having trouble with the deconversion thing. But also, he doesn't have to deconvert. You know, if he has comfort in it, great. Because I know a lot of people who personally they don't force their religion on anyone. My mother-in-law is very religious, but she never talks about it, because the times that we have discussed it, she has just said it just gives me comfort, and that's all it needs to be. And you know, answer the questions as honestly as you can. If you don't know, just suggest things like, you know, some of the ACA shows. There's tons of resources out there. There's a whole back catalog of videos that will probably have the question that he's asking on there. So, you know, I'd go through there and use that as a resource, maybe.
I agree entirely. I think the goal should always be to moderate people's views, not to eliminate a certain belief, because when you look throughout history, the time that religion gets dangerous, because people will say, what's the problem if I hold these beliefs that there is this being, you know, like, and the answer is probably nothing. But the minute that you start believing that being, that powerful being, has some sort of desired outcome, some sort of plan or will or something, and you believe that you know the mind of that being, that's when things get dangerous. So if you can moderate back beyond that point to where you start introducing realistic questions and say, hey, I have questions, you know, take them out for a beer. Like you've raised a lot of questions for me. I was wondering if you could tell me this, and I was wondering if you'd tell me that. And hopefully you have the type of relationship where he's not going to try to BS you. And if he doesn't know, he'll say he doesn't know. And you can have this question where you sort of walk him quietly through the science of various issues to where he's like, oh, we have solved this problem. We completely understand how this works. And to quote, I forget the scientist, Laplace or somebody, who was working with Napoleon when Napoleon said, this model you have of the solar system, where is God in this? And he says, I have no need of that hypothesis. Like, once you see that this is how genetics works, and you understand it at a high school level, you can say, okay, anything that's you're adding God is just a wheel that does nothing. You're just adding extra. And if you do that enough over years of showing people, hey, we understand this, we understand where babies come from, we understand science, we understand all of these things, then they moderate themselves. If they trust you and they agree with you, they moderate their beliefs to the point where like, I don't really know, because they realize that what they're being told in church is not the truth all the time. And then that's when you're like, okay, now I realize I've gone and read this stuff and it's not matching up over here. I don't know. And I can't be a fanatic if I'm willing to say I don't know. So that's always my goal, is just to have the conversation, be there as a friend, and always phrase it as, you got me curious, I have some questions, could you help me? And then get permission if needed to say, I'm going to push back on that one because what I read was this. Would you be interested in exploring it or something like that? I don't want to upset you. I'm not attacking anything if it ever gets to that, but I genuinely am curious as to why you believe these things.
That's very well said. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that. I won't keep you on. I won't keep myself on too much longer. I just wanted to say, thank you guys so much. Thank you, John the Skeptic. Thank you, Cross-Examiner. Cross-Examiner, you've helped me so much. You've helped me with my deconversion. You've helped me with so much. I don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for you guys. I just appreciate it. I'm so thankful for you guys. And I'll let you get to some other callers, and thank you so much for the help, guys.
Before you go, though, I just want to make sure that you also have people locally that you can talk to, because there's only so much that online can do for you. So I would search on social media for groups in your area of like-minded people. They do exist. You may, in some smaller towns, maybe not so much, but if you branch out a little bit, my closest one up until 2 weeks ago was 2 hours away in Louisville, Kentucky. But now I created my own group of local people. And actually it's growing faster than I thought it would. So I would at least look locally to see if there are like-minded people that you can at least speak to, and then maybe bring your friend in on that as well and say, I've got some friends who may be able to answer your questions better than I can. Come along and meet them, and just see that non-believers are also very normal people, and we believe just like you do, and we can just be regular nice folks who just want to make friends and have people to talk to.
I'm about 3 hours outside of Denver, Colorado, so I mean, it's only just a 3 hour drive if I decided to go up there on a weekend.
There you go.
There's some atheist convention centers up there, so and. I think Seth Andrews is actually speaking.
Oh, is he? He's great.
So.
I love Seth. Yeah, I think I'm seeing Seth in September as well. So he's great. Yeah, I try and just get out there as much if it's something that you are mentally capable of doing, because I know people suffer and get anxiety about doing things like that. But if you feel like you're able to, definitely go and do it. It made a massive difference to my time in the US, because I moved here not knowing anybody, and I went to some conventions and got to meet people, and now I have a ton of friends all over the country. And if I go to a place, I'm like, let's meet up and hang out. We're like-minded people. We don't believe in gods and all this stuff. So it does a lot for your mental well-being doing in-person stuff.
I was like, yeah, you're 100% right. Even just the online community, just even listening to you guys online. I haven't joined Patreon yet, but I'm definitely going to. But just listening to you guys online has helped so much. But I do have a friend, Casey. He's an atheist as well. We kind of do talk about stuff as well. But I do want to get up to Denver and get involved. And you guys are awesome. And if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't even be. I don't know where I would be. So
always reach out. There's always people that are willing to talk to you on multiple platforms. And, we've got tons of volunteers here at the ACA who will be happy to help you email and, just talk to people, and somebody will point you in the right direction to get you whatever resource you need. So, reach out whenever.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much again.
No worries, Logan. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Logan. And I will say, we'll let you go, Logan, but I did want to say, I totally agree with what John's saying. That human interaction, that human contact really makes it special. And you don't have to drive 3 hours. I understand you're in Colorado. There's a big evangelical population up there, especially around certain big cities, but you will be surprised at
Right.
the number of people in your local churches who are doubting and
Right.
do not believe this stuff, but they realize I can't come out because I will lose my babysitter. I will lose the
Right.
person who cuts my lawn. I will lose my job. I will lose a lot of things that may even be illegal. But they do exist. So you don't need to even drive those 3 hours. If you're out enough, you can organize, go to meetup.com and organize a
There you
local
go.
meetup saying, hey, local atheist coffee hour. Or
Right.
don't even say atheist, local, agnostic or
Yeah,
whatever, secular,
yeah.
meetup hour. And people in your own town will come out